Happy Halloween. It's still Halloween here. This is the ghost of Robert Heffernan bringing you Blockchain Vitals. It's our daily show talking cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to do the intro here. We'll bring in Robert for doing the rounds. Already November, though, in Asia, so we have a new month to talk about. But before that, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about here. And I'm going to bring them in for the segment. Happy Halloween, as it's still Halloween here in the US of A. And without further ado, let's bring back out Robert. Kind of weird to have your ghost following you around the studio all day because it's his big debut. But, you know, nothing ghostly or scary about price action, that's for sure, as we're right back into, you know, in the commodity markets, we call it the summer doldrums. It's not summer, so I'm not sure why the heck these markets are so pathetic, but that's what they are. There's still some news, though, to talk about here in the crypto sphere, so let's talk about it. Jamie Dimon back in the news. I love this because I just talked about this. And he says he reiterated that he regrets saying that Bitcoin is a fraud. Not because he doesn't think Bitcoin is a fraud, just because he doesn't give a shit. That's his words. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Bitcoin. And he's firmly, and by the way, why should he? I mean, I understand, you know, the guy, his company producing $8 billion in profits a quarter so far this year, absolutely ripping the cover off the ball. In a fiat world, they're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. And so he doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin. And in fact, he goes on further to say that blockchain technology is fantastic, and they've been working at it at JP Morgan fervently. And the distributed ledger technology, wonderful. And here's where the rubber meets the road. Going, you know, as we go on here with this technology, is the technology going to be centralized, or is it going to be decentralized in that distributed ledger technology or that blockchain technology? Now, JP Morgan loves the technology and loves that they can do it in a centralized fashion where they control all the keys to the information. And why wouldn't you want that? You still have all of your customers' data. You know, they've been killing it trading. And let me tell you something. I know it's way easier to trade when you're holding the trading deck, when you see all the orders, than it is just to trade from the sidelines. Years of filling commodity orders in many different trading pits has taught me that being able to see the tape before the tape is, you know, before the play starts, makes it a real, you know, a much easier way to trade. And I'm not saying that they're breaking any rules by all means. I'm sure they're playing exactly by the book. But a centralized blockchain is different than a decentralized blockchain, and it all comes down to trust. And if you want to trust JP Morgan, they're, you know, as far as I can tell, they're fairly trustworthy. I mean, but that's the argument, all right? And because it goes further down the line, to the decentralized trust authentication factor that Bitcoin is, you don't need a central authority to trust the transactions. Let me just talk a little bit more about, you know, him not giving a shit. And although they're killing it, you know, banks and big banks in particular still make, by my estimation, around 6%. I'm doing some rough math here. Math sneaks up on you. But let's say JP Morgan makes $32 billion this year. From stuff that I've read, they make almost between 2 and 3 billion a year on ATM and overdraft fees, like 6 or 7% of your revenue, basically stealing from your customers. That's the way I've always felt about it. That's my personal opinion. You know, why are you charging me over? Don't let the thing go through. Don't you know, let it go through and then charge. And this is what the blockchain is going to solve. It already has solved it. Like, you can't send money that you don't have. You can't have an overdraft fee. And the ATM fee, like charging you $2 to take $20 out of, I mean, that's illegal in most states. Those exorbitant ATM fees as a percentage of the transaction is ridiculous. And the blockchain will solve those problems too, and really pinch large banks. We call that just gravy money. That's easy money for them that the blockchain is going to impinge on. Another new blockchain smartphone joining HTC Exodus. And so a second smartphone to the market now with cold storage on the device. Again, point of purchase is going to be, they've been doing it in the Nordic countries for years. Forget about the ATM and the overdraft fees. It's going to be right on your cell phone. Just pay for it. But the other thing I wanted to talk about here is he can say he doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin, but there's a bigger story going on here, and it's a geopolitical story, and I've talked about it before. There is a major war here going on geopolitically, especially between the U.S. dollar and the SWIFT system for cross-border payment transfers. As a lot of the world powers do not like the power that the U.S. wields geopolitically because of the dominance of the dollar and the SWIFT system. And Bitcoin is a challenge for the U.S. dollar for that. But now other things are cropping up here, and a lot of people laughed it off to begin with. The petro in Venezuela, and I just want to bring up a tweet from today, and it's in Spanish. But let me just let you know that you can get petro now. You can fully trade or transfer Bitcoin for petro in Venezuela. And a lot of people were saying, again, this is not a distributed or decentralized DLT. It's not a distributed ledger technology. It's a centralized by Venezuela. Right, so can you trust them? Of course you can't trust them by their history. But I will say this. The petro is backed by oil, real oil, supposedly, real oil in Venezuela. And from the tweet there, that is a delegation from China, and not just China, but the China Development Bank, Mr. Tian Yanzhai. I think I pronounced it right. Anyway, China and Russia fully involved with Venezuela here, and the petro. I think it's kind of like maybe a use case or anything that they can do to dislodge the U.S. dollar prominence. These are major geopolitical things that are going to resonate out, and Mr. Diamond maybe should give a shit about what happens to Bitcoin and its evolution in the space of currency, because it is going to do something. It's not going to do nothing. It's not worth nothing. And the technology is too powerful, and there are too many people and too much big money involved waging this battle around centralized or decentralized blockchain systems. So we will be interested to see how these things play out. The other thing, as the ghost of me said on the way in, is that it is November. I am doing this Wednesday night in the USA, October 31st, but it's already November in Asia. Good morning in Asia, and therefore we've rolled the monthly charts, right? We have rolled the monthly charts, and we have that fractal available on the coins that have been around long enough for some of the data. But for one thing I want to do, before we go to the vitals, and you're going to need to be an Endotech subscriber or a Pareto token holder to take part in that part. And a couple of things I want to mention. While things are still slow, of course, it's a great time to make sure that you are set up at Kraken with the ET bot. Go to endotech.io. Talk to our custom support people. The ET bot will be ready and able and fully functional for you to take advantage of trading cryptos. If you don't want to pull the trigger yourself, the bot will do it for you. Also, The ET Endotech apps are available on your Apple iPhone or at the Google Play Store. Download the app. It's free. Let our signals quicken your pulse. Have actionable trading information around cryptos available at your fingertips on your smartphone. And that smartphone soon will have a cold storage device right on it, right? It's a virtual ATM. And all right, so listen, let's go to the chart though, because there's something happened here on the chart. And I talk about fractals, and that if you don't know what time frame you're looking at, charts look the same. All right, they look the same. You need that added level of what fractal am I looking at for a couple of things, to know what kind of time frame the evolution of this might take, right? Risk, reward, a whole bunch of different things. But here's our old friend, the Doji, and this is the monthly chart on REP, Augur, and I've been talking about this coin a little bit, and I will be keeping my eyes here on this one. It's been dancing around its up momentum level on the daily, but put in a fairly picture-perfect textbook doji on the monthly chart here. Now with 5 months down and making a lower low for the move and closing just a little bit higher than it opened the month. That is textbook. And give me any candlestick chart maker, and tell me that that's not a textbook doji hammer bottom. And we're gonna get to arm wrestling pretty quick. All right, listen. We're gonna take the vitals now and talk about the rest of the monthly setups, these monthly numbers that are incredibly important going forward now. And to do that, like I said, you need to be a Endotech subscriber or a Pareto token holder. So please do that. And